Every episode of this series is going to have to begin like this with a timer. And I'm going to explain that in a minute, in 2 minutes, actually. Or you could just skip forward 2 minutes. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Break the rules. They shouldn't exist anyway. This is a brand new series, and this is a new series called Shut the Fuck Up. Now, we're starting with Jordan Peterson, but here's the weird thing about Jordan Peterson. I thought this man did not have time. I want you to consider a situation where you're very busy, a situation where you're working a lot, a situation where you have a big platform, so you're doing speaking engagements a lot, you're traveling a lot, and I just want to ask you, how often could you tweet in that scenario? Just really think about it. If you really wanted to, if you weren't a miserable, terrible person, how many times do you think you would tweet? Or even if you were a miserable, terrible person? Because what I don't understand is how Jordan Peterson has tweeted nearly 100 times in the last 24 hours. Now, I decided to make this series in response to a specific tweet I saw. When we get there, I'll tell you it's that one. But, and then I realized this is just a great series. And when I say series, I mean series now. It will later be a segment on the Sometime Show, which we will be launching again September 1st. We haven't run up yet. This has to hit 2 minutes. Jordan Peterson is one of the most unpleasant people on the planet. He is a grifter. This is a man who is a fraud and is known by his peers to be a fraud. But because he signals to very specific groups, even as he used to say things like, well, I'm no right winger. I'll work on my Jordan Peterson throughout. My impression's not great. You start with Kermit and then you add the popcorn guy from The Simpsons. Would you bloody mind? Cleaned your room. That was okay. That was getting closer. Anyway, Jordan Peterson is an unpleasant fraud from the world of psychology who basically is famous because he hates trans people. I know, extremely original. And now he is using what people mistake his wisdom and his academic background to give him the power and authority to basically say, oh, they're just a bunch of narcissists. I know. We've passed 2 minutes, and now we can try and say the name of the title of the fucking show again. Shut the fuck up. The thing is it takes 2 minutes. Now, technically, a fuck can get you demonetized no matter what. I'm barely trying to not get demonetized over here anymore. This is now the channel where I just vent my anger and frustration. If you saw my Hey, I'm Back episode a few days ago, you probably can recognize that there's a real something building up inside of me, and I can't keep it in anymore. I just need to let it out and need to release it. Now, I can hear in your mind you're all being a bunch of pervs, and I just gotta say, stop being a bunch of pervs. Actually, just kidding. It's almost probably about be more pervy. That's fine. Backing up, literally. I don't remember where we are. Shut the Fuck Up is the name of the series, and it's going to be where I bring to you social media of people that I find particularly unpleasant and who I wish would shut the fuck up. It's kind of a weird thing because I am simultaneously trying to focus more on the ideologies that people are spurting while also and avoiding being part of what you could call like drama and tea channels and all of those types of things, but while simultaneously venting my frustration that these specific packages of fascism really annoy the ever-living fuck out of me. So here we go. The very first episode of Shut the Fuck Up. And we're going to Jordan Peterson's Twitter. Come with me now. Come with me now. I didn't mean to do that. Come with me. That's not even that popular song right now. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. However, that song I predicted would be a part of the theme song of a video game 6 months before the video game was released. That doesn't matter. No one can. There may be zero value in this series. If you're watching this and you get value out of it, that's the value, because there's zero intended value for anybody besides me. Because fuck people like Jordan goddamn Peterson. Oh, do you bloody mind cleaning your room? I'm so fucking deep because I make very basic self-help books so people go, oh my God, oh, he really understands what he's talking about because he's repeating platitudes with a vocabulary that we simply cannot grasp. I can't do that voice too long. It's really fucking my throat. Okay, let's do this. Let's move over so you can see what I'm seeing. I'm going to show you these tweets. It would have been better if that was synchronized better, but it wasn't. Anyway, here's his thing, his page, Twitter page, and we're doing Twitter today. Best-selling author, clinical psychologist, #1 education podcast, meaning #1 podcast on some platform. Maybe it's all of them. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Podcasts are very popular amongst the right. and then the left too, admittedly, but in a category of education, whether he deserves to be there is sort of like whether or not Tucker Carlson deserves to be news. By the way, I'm very much hoping, I know that there have been people who have been like, Jimmy, why do you want monetization from Twitter? I want monetization from Twitter because I plan to only use my Twitter monetization to make shit crapping on monetized shit on Twitter. It's gonna be that. So if Tucker's launching his show there, my counter Tucker show, it's going to be on Twitter. Will it be over here? Pieces of, probably. I don't know, segment. Do you need to follow everywhere? Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Jimmy A. Snow. Right now, it's a koala is my cartoon koala with sunglasses is my avatar, my profile picture. What the fuck do you call these things anymore? Anyway, that's where you can find me. Go find me over there if you want to find me over there. If you don't, fine. I don't give a shit. Okay. So anyway, look, and then want you to listen to his podcast, and right now, his very top tweet is his pinned tweet. This is not the 100 that he has somehow had the time. I don't have time to tweet 100. Maybe this is my problem. And I know some people are going to say it's probably just an intern or something. When you read it and sort of the implied tone and everything in there, I think you might agree that it isn't actually clear that it isn't him. I hope I'm wrong, and I could be wrong, but it looks like it's him. Anyway, this is his top pin tweet. This, the research is, okay, I gotta get it. Okay, we start with Kermit, and then the research is beginning to compile after 70 years of denial, left-wing authoritarianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. So basically, he's showing off these articles, these research papers that, by the way, if you actually start to look at them, they're not altogether that impressive. Really. They're really not. They're not that interesting. They're not that impressive of papers. They don't come to any of these. I mean, there might be some more in there. But as far as this idea, which he's trying to paint here, is just the idea of the left, which the left is a fucking joke in the first place. Where is the left in the United States, which is where most of his fans are, despite the fact that he is in fact a Canadian. But where is the actual left? We're talking about, anyway, the Democrats certainly are. The Democrats are moderates. Let's be clear. Even the liberals and a lot of the progressives are starting to lean left over. But the fact of the matter is if you're still taking apart, if you're a liberal progressive on the world stage, you are a moderate, and that's just what the fuck is. That's just how it is. Anyway. These are very uninteresting articles. But first of all, they're not from particularly respected institutions either. But none of that matters, because what it is, it's so funny to see a man so made of fallacies. This is what I actually like. Now, I know I work with Matt Dillahunty, so it's just going to sound like I'm just like making my friend sound even cooler. But this is what I loved about when Matt Dillahunty finally debated Jordan Peterson on stage. Forever ago, I did a review of that debate. The audio was dog shit. I should probably do a new one at some point because, a lot of things have changed. But that debate was this disillusionment. I think I said disillusioned. I don't remember. Disillusionment moment for a lot of atheists, because this fucking guy has somehow seduced, well, I know how, people who consider themselves skeptics, who saw the surface level, who saw the vocabulary, who had some biases that they were excited to embrace somebody like Jordan Peterson, because it was a lot of, well, men run the world and that's the way it should be, and women who wear makeup are whores, and by the way, this trans thing is just nonsense. That was it. It appeals to a lot of people, including people who consider themselves skeptics, atheists, and the like. And what was so nice about when Matt debated him was you got to see him try to engage with the topic of atheism, which he tries to hint that he both is and isn't. Less anymore. Now he just tries to be a Christian fucking new prophet, I suppose. And another reason why I wish he would shut the fuck up. Let's remember the name of the series and try to pepper it in throughout. He does this, well, fucking shit. I did not see her there. She does this thing where that was so stupid. He does this thing with atheism that so many people were able to see and go, oh, fuck. The ways in which I have seen him engage, where I have been like, this is clearly the victor. This is clearly the intelligent person here. I've just seen him use that fraudulent vocabulary. I've just seen him use that stupid way, well, for them at first, they didn't think it was fraudulent. This very intellectual way of speaking, this way of sounding very deep and as though you have this philosophical depth. Jesus Christ. I'm just going to leave it in. I don't care. I'm not editing shit. This philosophical, not more than I'm already going to have to, philosophical depth that simply is lacking. Like it was the exposure to actually see, oh no, he sucks at this. And the way in which I've been seeing him attack trans people, and the way that I've been seeing him attack feminists, and the way I've been seeing him attack just the concepts of femininity, new femininity, and feminism, the way I've seen him try and attack this concept of social justice warriors several years late, like we didn't already do this across fucking YouTube, and most people realized and grew up. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a lot of the people who were on YouTube years ago during the social justice warrior stuff, were the people who nowadays are like, yeah, that was stupid and cringe. And all the people who are currently making that their entire personality, they just weren't watching YouTube back then. They haven't grown the fuck up yet. I hope that's the case, because that means a positive future when these people grow the fuck up, like Jordan Peterson, who is somehow a man who looks simultaneously 50 and 96, like he's the fucking bad guy at the end of Star Wars, the one that's like secretly behind everything. And all nine of them, I kind of liked them. I kind of liked all nine. Number one. But the rest are pretty good. I think I'm getting too off topic just to say it was nice to see him finally revealed for the fraud he was. Because this is a man who is made of logical fallacies. This is a man who is excited to show and steer your confirmation bias. And that's what's so fucking annoying about him and why I wish he would shut the fuck up. I genuinely wish he would just be quiet, because even as a psychologist, he sucks. This guy not only engages in the unethical practice as a clinician to diagnose somebody who he isn't treating, which is considered unethical in the world of psychology. You are not supposed to diagnose someone you don't have direct access to, and you're not supposed to diagnose yourself. Both of those are off of the table. And yet this guy just jumps in, and his favorite thing is just to diagnose everybody who I disagree with is a narcissist. And all trans identities these are extensions of narcissism. When in fact, he is reacting to a large pool of people and just saying the people with enough chutzpah to actually speak up and to actually fight back and to actually shout back when it's necessary, that these people, well, that's a clear, it's not untrue that it's ego. You have to have some ego to succeed. I can't do this. I know I talk about ego too much, but I can't do this without some ego. And you can't do what Jordan Peterson fucking does without tremendous ego. Now, luckily, I'm not a clinician. I have tried to say to people, we have to stop using these terms like gaslighting so much. That should be only used for really more, especially if you're going to hold people to the term as though it is as serious as the real thing. I've been saying for a long time, we're overusing these terms and we are simply not qualified to call everyone we dislike a narcissist, even though it nags at us and we're all imperfect. And then there are those glowing examples, these people where if you go and you read the definition of narcissism, his little orange face just pops up like, is this just a bio? Mr. You know who I'm talking about. Am I just reading that biography right now? I get it. That happens. And if you're in a funeral and somebody's yelling like shit, fuck titties, like for you to sit there and go, I think that person probably has Tourette's because of the situation in which they are saying shit, whatever I came up with earlier, the titty thing. The fact that is happening. Yeah, that's not that crazy to do. I get it. There are places where it's understandable, but especially if you are a clinical psychologist, for you to be going out there and saying stupid things. And we haven't even gotten to like the tweets. Let's get over to them. For you to be going out there and speaking as though you have not already proven yourself to be a complete fraud, but you're diagnosing just everybody who disagrees with you as a narcissist and every trans person as a narcissist. He was on Joe Rogan not too long ago. What did he say? That trans people are something about like, because they have not been able to outlet themselves in a satisfying manner creatively, that it's their sort of narcissistic way of like forcing you to acknowledge their creativity and to see their creativity. And Joe would ask something like, do you really think that's what it is? And he, I know it is. I know it is. This person who has made no effort and gets the most basic fucking things wrong about trans issues has made no effort. He knows what's really behind him. What a guy. All right, let's keep moving on. The professional regulatory boards have gone fully woke and now do far more harm than good. Why should the public care? Ask yourself, do you want the professional? Okay. Do you want the professionals you rely on to lie to you? Or are they now obliged to or not, right? And basically, this is in response to a person who is also super transphobic, complaining that they're not getting to be transphobic as a physician. That the medical consensus is that the best thing for trans people is access to trans-affirming care as they like, at the pace that they want to go in most cases, but with lots of roadblocks in the way. This isn't, people act like you just walk in and go, all right, start chopping things up and start, as though that there isn't a procedure in the way right now where you are often consulting with therapists and a period of time. You don't just walk in and schedule a surgery. And a lot of trans people don't even start with surgery. In fact, I think it might be most don't even start with surgery. Much more minor things to begin. It's just, anyway. So he, again, getting very basic things wrong. And this is what the medical consensus is, but I disagree with it. And let's be real, I hate these people. Therefore, they must be wrong and they're forcing doctors to lie. Like this would be this, if you just switched it with vaccines, it would seem like, first of all, it would seem like it comes from the same people because he's been complaining about these mandatory anti-freedom vaccines that I've taken, but I'm supporting these assholes who don't want to take them and giving them some things to think about. It's so dangerous, but also so at the core of why I wish he would shut the fuck up is that he wants to support people who are in actuality more extreme than he is. But that's where his popularity comes from. So we go, well, they must be smart because they like me. I guess I feel that way. If you like me, I probably think you're pretty smart. But I'm an asshole and I'll at least acknowledge it. I'm sure he'd call me a narcissist. He tweets this about progress. It's not easy to be angry. Anyway, if you're your popcorn, Mr. Simpson, Iowa governor signed sweeping bill into law that will restrict education about gender identity and require schools to notify parents if their child has to use a new name or pronoun. That's progress to him. This thing, when you already know the history of queer abuse, you already know the anti-trans sentiment in the country, you already know how primed this is. You think it is progress that a child who may be trying to experiment with their identity, who may be trying to confide in people they should be able to trust, that now this person is basically going to have to tell on them to their parents and say, hey, just so you know, this thing that you might abuse your child to try and get them to stop being. Yeah, if I'm calling you and this isn't news to you, you already knew, there probably isn't much threat of an abuse. In fact, the times that the threats of abuse are specifically with the kids who don't want their parents to know. And to cut children off from being able to explore, from being able to find information, but look at all the shit they're doing with book burnings right now. It's amazing that they pretend to care about children, because I grew up in a family like this, with a family who wanted to control all the information you could get to. And it has only made me resentful of my family and my upbringing. And it definitely caused a tremendous amount of damage, as there were things inside of me screaming, in my case, both a pansexual sexual orientation, as well as being autistic. But because it wasn't in the list of approved documents, because it wasn't the type of things my parents even bother to try to understand, because my dad has these anecdotes of, well, I used to be depressed and I just got over it, because they believe in things like pray it away. Like, even if you don't believe even if you believe that being trans is a mental illness, how many parents who are getting alerted to the fact that their child is trans are actually now going to be what we would agree, I hope, as a clinical fucking psychologist as you are, that we would agree that the right route for any sort of psychological turmoil, especially at extreme ends, would be treatment by some sort of clinician. How many do you think are going to do that versus how many of these people's hatred is deeply rooted in religious bigotry, and they are going to try and berate it out of their children or beat it out of their children, depending on where they are, threaten it out of their children, shame their child, make them feel disgusting. We got to keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to be here all goddamn night. But I really just wish Jordan Peterson would shut the fuck up, because I do not have the education that he has. And yet I am still so easily able to critically think and see what's wrong with this. Again, at the most basic level, that he is operating without empathy for people whose lives are fucking tough because society shits on them. And we've gone through this fucking shit already. It's like every generation, or it's by a couple of decades. Before this, it was the queers. Before this, it was this certain type of brown people. And then a different type of brown people. We're going back to slavery. We're going back to anti-Semitism, different nationalist sentiments across the world. These things that people are having wars over, and all of these, just this common thread of bigotry, and people don't bother to fucking go, shit, I was wrong. And it seems like we're always wrong. So what's the thing I may be wrong about now? Should I slow down to make sure I'm not on the side of history that sides with the anti-humanist sentiment of fuck you and your identity if it doesn't work with me and it doesn't fit conveniently into some capitalist utopia that I believe in the future, where we're all just running around praising God, speaking to the Sky Daddy, and I don't know, rubbing our fucking nipples because if you don't work, you die. Because that's how future poverty should work in their world, not mine. Him celebrating that he thinks Target is going the same way as Budweiser. This is the funny thing too. When you talk about the radicalization, right now everybody's freaking out over this year's Pride displays. I don't know why I fucked up on that word. I'm just like, I'm pissed off and it makes my mouth not good. I mouth words bad, not so much. Good and worse. Anyway, I sound like Charlie on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And my words, I worded not great, and kill the vote for them. It's really funny because they're trying to act like they're not. The whole concept, the whole thing with this Target stuff is there was this guy who months ago was going viral, basically just shitting on the fact that, and walking up to people, oh, are you on the side of Satan and queer pride and and calling people in Target Satanists and literally knocking over signs and then stepping on them. Now, there's some things coming to light about that person. Haven't looked into if they're true or not, but if they are true, not entirely surprising. But I need to look into whether they're true before I state what they are and give my opinion on that. That is where that sentiment began. This person that I would hope somebody like Jordan Peterson would agree is extreme. But Jordan Peterson is just going anti-pride generally lately as well, because I don't know how I don't know how he can still call himself any kind of clinical psychologist. You just shit on anyone who doesn't fit into the cishet white male and the women who support them but keep their fucking mouth shut. That's who he wishes would shut the fuck up. I wish he would shut the fuck up. And then this stupid kind of fucking thing. Let's have a look. That's the wrong angle. It's not the one I wanted to show you. This is the one I wanted to show you. This kind of fucking thing with the pride, the already near mandatory cardinal sin. Pride is a sin in the Bible. And to say that pride, like gay pride, like queer pride, like June pride, is the same as the pride, it's just a fucking equivocation fallacy. Again, this is a dude made of fallacies. Pride is about the fact that oppressed minorities imagine him just trying to do this fucking shit over like MLK Day, which is still a pride day in the same way that this is saying pride. But of course he would stay the fuck away from that. Or at least I hope. Maybe not. The way he's radicalizing, maybe he does. Well, when's the White History Month coming? When will I be celebrated? People have touched him. Do you know what I mean? He has a daughter. She sucks too and should shut the fuck up. I think I want to end on, there is a moment where he also unironically shares, this is his level of intelligence and humor and everything. If anybody wants to come in here and defend that he's actually a brilliant person, explain to me why he's sharing unironically Babylon Bee. Like, I would be pissed off if I was on the right if that was the funniest shit I had. Like a terrible knockoff of The Onion. The Onion already hasn't been very good for a while. The Onion's more of a novel idea. And with the invention of the internet, where you're not hearing about Onion article titles and stuff periodically, once every few months, with them having to come out all the time, it's turned to fucking shit anyway. And so now Babylon Bee and all Babylon Bee, like, it's just trans jokes. The whole thing sucks. Or they'll like try and do one kind of given the business, but also to fucking Elon. Yeah, I made the gesture. Well, I waited the 2 minutes. This will be a monetized episode, right? I give a fuck. This is the fucking most ridiculous one of the goddamn bunch. And I didn't even go back past 10 hours. And this is the one, this final one is the one for which I went, I gotta do a shut the fuck up. I gotta make something telling him to shut the fuck up. I just thought, oh my God, shut the fuck up. And then in my brain was like, that's a great name for a show, except for that YouTube's a bunch of fucking prudes. So I can't just say shut the fuck up right away. And by the way, technically using fuck over and over again in an episode still can qualify it for demonetization, though there are other swear words that's not. For example, the sexist epithet, which I do use, but the sexist epithet bitch is considered a soft swear. And as long as you don't use it in the first 7 seconds, is not grounds for demonetization. I would argue with the sexist history of bitch, but also just its ubiquity in trying to even emasculate people, it is far more offensive than the word fuck. The word fuck is just a universal fill-in. No one even cares that it means like whatever, you know what I'm talking about? Putting things in things. Nobody cares. It's just such a nothing word. It's an every word. The word bitch actually has more meaning and usually more malice. Like if somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, here's a nice thing, I'll be like, fuck yeah, thank you. It's such a positive thing. If I had bitch in there, like especially looking like I am, people are like, I don't know if you get to say that. Somebody like gives me something like, oh my God, bitch. So anyway, here's the stupidest fucking tweet of the goddamn whole thing and the thing that triggered what would become a new series and eventually segment on the Sometime Show launching September 1st. In my experience, the use of LOL is a marker for narcissism. I fucking can't. I can't fucking do it. LOL is a marker for narcissism? Bitch. Really? Please. What? LOL? LOL is a marker for narcissism? Here's the funny thing. I did not use LOL for almost my entire, LOL started to become a thing when I was in Louisiana, so I'd have been 13 years old. And then it was used a lot in text, it was used a lot on MySpace, it was used a lot then on Facebook, and then and it's just progressed through. And if anything, now it's become less used. And in the last year or so, actually not even, why is there just a hair in my mouth? The length of that hair. Why is there that kind of hair in my mouth? Chest hair? I hope. There's no other reason for it. Not in a while, anyway. Not in a while. LOL is a marker for narcissism. It is the most universally used, what are they called? Not emojis. Acronym? Kind of. I mean, it is an acronym. Laugh out loud is a marker for narcissism. Grandpa. Once again, I don't know. Are you fucking 30 or are you 1,000 years old? You look like the goddamn crypt keeper. That meat only diet, the red meat only diet you're doing, you think it's helping? It's fucking turning you insane and you look like a walking corpse. Jesus Christ, eat some bread. Fuck, shut the fuck up. Back over to it. It's derisive and indicates an attitude of contemptuous eye-rolling moral superiority. Responding to a person just saying, turf's triggered by me, LOL. So here's what... Fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Jesus fucking Christ. They can't demonetize me for saying fuck this much if you can't see my mouth say it. That's in the Constitution. The man went well, I don't like this person. She just shit on TERFs, of which I am one, perhaps the king. He went, I'd like to call her a narcissist, but I don't actually have grounds for it, as I don't know it. So what if I could, without going more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words into her tweet, and certainly not exploring her greater point, what if I could just make something up? What if I could say that the acronym, the texty thing, LOL, is a, what was it? Marker for narcissism. That's actually going to be in the next DSM. Just, narcissistic personality disorder. Symptom number 1, use of the term LOL. And by the way, it's derisive and indicates an attitude of contemptuous, eye-rolling moral superiority. That is not specifically or exclusively a symptom of narcissism. You dipshit. You project moral superiority all the time. So it's LOL is a marker for narcissism because it indicates you're being derisive. This fucking twist. Derisive, you that. I think you all just got to see a little glimpse of my hairy tum-tum. Oh my fucking God. I'm a better clinical psychologist than this guy. And I'm not a clinical psychologist. I took some psychology courses in college. I did. Jordan Peterson is a fraud. Wait. Do I need to actually go back and explain this? Is this understood? Do I need to actually explain, do I need to further expound that no, the use of LOL or even the use of being derisive or expressing moral superiority when we are talking about human fucking rights and identity, whichever side of that issue you are going to come on, you have to fundamentally think your position is morally superior. Or what's the fucking point? That's right. I'm wearing sweatpants. Am I doing feet for free? I don't know about all that. Jesus Christ, get a tan, you fucking hobbit. Oh my fucking God. I'm keeping them crossed so you can't pretend you're putting something between the arches. I don't know how to express the contempt I have that a man this obviously fraudulent isn't just let into a position of moral leadership that people mistake. But honestly, I don't think he should qualify for a Twitter account. I would say, I go so far as to say the way he will philosophically take anything and just make it mean whatever he wants might disqualify him for a driver's license. Because I dare say he might approach a stoplight and go, well, the light says red, but if you think about the metaphorical substrate of what is red, and red has the same number of letters as God, and they both end in D, and as a God myself, I should pass on through this because the only I don't know that he should qualify for anything. I'm deeply disturbed by what I think is probably happening with my feet in y'all's heads right now and some of y'all's heads right now. So I'm just going to come back to y'all. Jordan Peterson. Shut the fuck up. I've already been recording for a long time. And if anything, we need to reset. So here's what we're going to do. You thought there was no plan for this. You thought that this was just a one-off. Let's sit in silence for 5 minutes. I'll try to remember to not put an ad up. Here we go. Okay. That was a very healing experience. That was a moment of, after insisting that a person so frustrating shut the fuck up, we did something kind of beautiful. I hope you did it too. Many of you will have just skipped forward. But holy shit, after going on such an aggressive, like I can feel, I don't know if you saw in the video where my shoulders finally relaxed, to take 35 minutes and then and insist that somebody shut the fuck up, and then end it by ourselves shutting the fuck up, is basically poetry. That felt good. Thanks for watching. I'm Jimmy Snow. If you want to subscribe, you should. I don't care if you do. It's kind of nice. It's a metric that makes you feel good, but at some point you realize is utterly meaningless. And that if you're using this platform for anything other than what you actually prioritize and think is amazing and fantastic and or important or devastating or scary, and instead you prioritize what you think people will watch, what you think people will subscribe to. If your priority is the reception instead of the message, you may get more subscribers. And that's a bad thing. But if the message resonates with you and you want to see more, because now you're not getting that, and I'm going to promise as best as I can, because we're not perfect, that that's not going to become this channel ever again. That the episodes you see I will never make an obligatory episode on Jimmy Snow ever again. I really hope that I never break that promise. Everything you see on the Sometime Show, that everything you see will be a labor of passion, of love, and authenticity. If that appeals to you, hit the subscribe or don't. I can't control you, and there shouldn't be rules anyway. Goodbye.